the eyes closed, begin to breathe in through the nose and out through the mouth. In through the nose and out through the mouth. With your eyes closed, continue to breathe deeply here. I'd like for you to set an intention for your practice today. An intention is just something that we direct our focus toward. If we should become distracted, or even if we're in a challenging pose. Perhaps that intention is to care for our bodies. Perhaps it's to stay present in the moment. Give yourself just a moment to choose an intention. Now bring the chin towards the chest, flicker the eyes open. And then lift the head whenever you're ready. We're going to interlace the fingers and flip the palms away from us and stretch those hands towards the front of the room. And then slowly start to lift those arms up overhead with elbows pointing out towards the sides of the room. Keep breathing here. Making sure you're not excessively swaying the back here, that you're keeping those front ribs nice and tucked in. Breathe deeply. Slowly release those arms. Now interlace the hands behind the back. Draw those shoulder blades together. Draw those hands together, I should say. And breathe here. Slowly release. And now we're going to lightly twist towards the right. Bring the left hand to the outside of that right knee, looking over the right shoulder. Breathe here. And we're going to switch sides. Bring that right hand to the left knee, left hand behind the back, looking over that left shoulder. Breathe here. Slowly come back to center. And now what we're going to do is uncross those legs, and we're going to meet on our hands and knees in a nice tabletop position. So hands are shoulder distance apart, knees are hip distance apart, toes are uncurled here. We're going to move through a few rounds of cat-cow, inhaling, dropping the belly, looking up. Exhale, rounding through the spine. If you have a diastasis recti, then instead of dropping the belly, you'll go from a neutral spine to a rounded spine. You don't want to drop the belly. So either way, we're either starting from this dropped belly position or from neutral spine. So wherever we're at, we'll inhale, rounding or flattening the spine. Exhale, rounding to the spine, but even rocking the hips side to side here. That can feel really nice. Keep breathing here. And move this at your own pace. You can even move back and forth a little bit if that feels good for you today. Bringing the hips side to side can be a nice little side body stretch, and especially for the low back muscles. Keep breathing here. Now find a place of stillness, and what we're going to do is bring our knees about mat distance apart, and we're coming into a modified version of puppy pose. So with our knees mat distance apart, we're going to slowly walk the hands forward. Either bring the forearms down to the mat, or bringing the chest all the way down towards the mat, or maybe even the head down to the mat. Whatever feels comfortable for you. And so in this position, we're really focusing on stretching out the muscles of the chest. So we're going to stay here and breathe for a minute. Breathe for an inhale. And slowly exhale. Inhale again. And on the exhale, we're slowly going to bring those hands forward, coming back to our tabletop position. Breathe here. Do another round or two of the cat-cow. And then whenever you're ready, curl those toes under. Sit those hips back towards the heels. So we're on our toes here. So this is a nice little stretch for the backs of the feet. We're going to once again interlace the fingers, flipping the palms towards the front of the room, and lift those hands up overhead for a nice stretch here. Breathe here. Good. And now we're going to bring our hands down towards the ground. We're going to keep those toes curled under. We're going to send the hips back, coming into downward facing dog. So feel free to adjust your position until it feels just right for you. Maybe even bending the knees, straightening the legs, bending one knee, straightening the opposite leg. Just make sure your spine is straight. So if you need to bend the knees pretty generously to do so,
feel free to do so, but it's very important that the spine is straight here. If the heels don't come down to the ground, that's okay. Keep breathing here. Now bend the knees, look forward as the thumbs, and slowly walk the feet towards the hands. Pause here and forward fold. Maybe even grab opposite elbows if you want, relaxing the top of the head towards the ground. And breathe here, maybe even moving side to side. Release those hands. Inhale, lift halfway. So we're drawing the shoulder blades together here. Straighten the spine, top of the head reaches to the front of the room. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, bring the hands together, come all the way up, reach the arms up. Deep inhale, lean back, look up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, lift halfway. Exhale, fold. Now plant the hands and step back to high plank position. From here, you can lower down to your knees if you need to. Wherever we're at, we'll look 2 or 3 inches in front of the face. Come into low plank. Inhale to upward facing dog. If you don't have a diastasis, if you do, sometimes it can feel nice to drop down to your belly and lift about halfway like this. It's completely up to you. Otherwise, we'll meet back in downward facing dog. If you're pregnant, you'll want to skip the upward facing dog or modification, so you can just meet here in downward facing dog. Now we're going to lift that right leg up in the air, squaring the hips, toes pointed down towards the mat. Bring the knee towards the chest, plant that foot between the hands. Back heel is going to come down to the ground. We're going to come up, warrior one, arms up by the ears. So in this pose, we want our hips reaching forward. So that left hip and the right hip are both reaching to the front of the room. Front knee is bent with that knee pointing more towards the pinky toe than the big toe. Back heel is down on the ground. And we're going to breathe here. If it's challenging, you can walk your right foot a little bit more towards the right side of the mat for balance. Keep breathing here. And if you want to intensify it, you can always walk that right foot forward. The closer this thigh is to parallel to the ground, the more challenging this will be. Wherever we're at, make sure our ribs are pulling inward. We're really engaging the core here. Breathe here for inhale and exhale. Now bend the elbows, open the chest. Deep inhale, lean back a little bit. Exhale, come up, arms up, lean halfway over that front knee here. Breathe, breathe, breathe. Now come all the way back up. Bring those hands down to the ground on either side of that foot. Step that foot back, coming into downward facing dog. Breathe here. Lift that left leg up in the air, toes flex, pointing down towards the mat. Bring the knees towards the chest, plant that foot between the hands. Back foot comes down onto the ground, arms come up by the ears. Warrior one. Once again, those ribs are really hugging inward, and that knee is pointing more towards the pinky toe without going past the ankle here. If this is too much for the arms, you can always bring the hands together at heart center. We'll breathe here. Keep breathing deeply. Bend the elbows, open the arms wide. Deep inhale, lean back just a little bit, look up. On the exhale, come up and lean halfway over that front knee, arms up. Breathe here. Come all the way back up. Plant those hands down on the ground on either side of that foot. Step back, downward facing dog. Keep breathing here. And step it out just a little bit, bending one knee, straighten the opposite leg, switching sides as needed. Keep breathing deeply. Now bend the knees, look forward at the thumbs, walk, step, or jump the feet to the hands, forward fold. Inhale, lift halfway. Exhale, fold. Come all the way up to standing, reach the arms up, lean back, look up, and forward fold. Inhale, lift halfway. Exhale, fold. Plant the hands, step back, high plank position. And now if you're pregnant, you can skip the flow and just meet in downward facing dog. Otherwise, we'll shift the weight forward, come to low plank, and again, you can lower your knees if you need to, like that was an example of lowering the knees. Inhale to upward facing dog. Exhale. Send the hips back. downward facing dog. Breathe here. Now lift that right leg up in the air, bring the knee towards the chest, plant that foot between the hands, back heel comes down onto the ground. We're coming into warrior two now. So the right arm is forward, left arm is back. The hips are opening to the side of the room now. So this is different from warrior one. Warrior one, hips are squared to the front. Warrior two, hips are open to the side of the room. Flip that front palm, come into reverse warrior. Left hand side's down, that back leg, right arm is up. Breathe here for inhale. Exhale back to warrior two. And now come to side angle. So that forearm's gonna come to thigh. The left arm's gonna come up and we're gonna breathe here. Stay here. Or extend those fingertips to the front of the room. Breathe for 3, 2, 1. Deep inhale, come all the way up warrior two. Inhale to reverse warrior. Exhale, cartwheel those hands down towards the ground. Place them on either side of the foot. Step that foot back, downward facing dog. Lift that left leg up in the air, bring the knee towards the chest, plant that foot between the hands. Back heel comes down onto the ground. We're coming up, warrior two, left side. Left arm is forward, right arm is back. That knee is pointing towards the pinky toe. Flip the front palm, come into reverse warrior. Left arm is up, right arm is down. Breathe here for inhale. Exhale back to warrior two. Bring that forearm down to the thigh, right arm comes up. Breathe here. Now extend that right arm towards the front of the room. Breathe here for 3, 2, 1. Come all the way up, warrior two. Inhale to reverse warrior. Exhale, cartwheel those hands down towards the ground. Plant them on either side of the foot. Step back, downward facing dog. Breathe here. Bend the knees, look forward at the thumbs. Walk, step, or jump the feet to the hands. Forward fold. Inhale, lift halfway. Exhale, fold. Bring the hands together, come all the way up to standing position. So we're coming into our standing series here. We're going to stand with our feet hip distance apart. We're going to breathe here. And so we're going to shift the weight into our left foot. And so when we do that, we'll bend the right knee, grab the inside of that foot here. So we're coming into dancer's pose. I'm going to stay here if this feels comfortable. Or if you want, we're going to lift that left arm up and start to shift the weight forward. Maybe lifting that right leg, maybe not. If you stay down here, that's okay too. You can also grab a wall or something, and that can help you get a little bit deeper into the pose. Wherever we're at, we'll breathe for 3, 2, 1. Slowly release and switch sides. So shift the weight to the right foot. Bend that left knee, grab the inside of the foot. Right arm comes up, and hinge forward. Lifting that left leg, or you can stay right here, or you can bring that right hand to the chest here, because this is still dancer's pose. So we're just coming into wherever feels like a good challenge. Breathe for 5, 4, for 3, 2, 1. Slowly release. Come all the way back. You can roll those wrists or roll those ankles if that feels good for you. We'll shift the weight once again into the left foot, and so we're coming into tree pose. So bring the right foot either to the inside of the ankle, here actually this is the angle, just below the knee or above the knee. Wherever we're at, we'll bring our hands together at heart center, and we'll breathe here for just a moment. Keep breathing deeply. Interlace the fingers, bringing the palms towards the ceiling. Breathe for 5, 4, for 3, 2, 1. Hands return to heart center. Slowly lower that right leg, shift the weight into the right foot, and then go ahead and bring that left foot to wherever the right foot was on the opposite side. You just want to make sure that foot is not on the knee, because that can put a lot of pressure on your knee. Breathe here, interlace the fingers, flip the palms towards the ceiling. Take a deep inhale, and exhale. Breathe for 5, 4, for 3, 2, 1. Slowly release and lower that leg down. We're going to lean back here, look up, and forward fold. Inhale, lift halfway. Exhale, fold. And now we're going to plant the hands and step into downward facing dog. Breathing here. Breathing deeply. Bring the right knee towards the chest. Bring that right foot to the outside of the right hand here, lowering that left knee down to the ground. So we're coming into our runner's lunge. This is a wonderful, wonderful hip opening stretch. Keep breathing deeply. So the breath is the most important part. That's what helps us move in and out of these poses and get the most benefit out of them. Now shift the weight into that back knee just a bit. And so we're coming into a nice little hamstring stretch. So we're straightening this right leg. You can leave the sole of the foot down on the ground, or you can bend the knee, flexing those toes towards your face. You get more of a stretch in the calf there. You can even move back and forth between these two. Keep breathing here. Now we're going to shift the weight forward a tiny bit and walk that foot towards the left side of the mat, lowering the knee down towards the right. We're coming into our pigeon pose. So we'll walk the hands forward. And we're going to breathe here. Make sure that back heel is pointing in the air. You can even bring the head all the way down to the ground if that feels comfortable for you. Keep deepening your inhale and deepening your exhale. Continue to breathe deeply throughout. If your mind starts to wander, just gently refocus on your breathing. If you notice a place of particular tension or tightness in the hip, take a deep inhale, and on the exhale, direct your breathing towards that place of tension. Now slowly start to lift the upper body up. We're going to uncross that leg. We're going to bring that left leg forward. We'll bring it back to a tabletop position. And then we're going to take that left foot, bring it to the outside of the hands here, sliding that right knee back just a bit. So once again, we're coming into this runner's lunge. We're going to breathe here. Now shift the weight of that back knee, straightening that leg and breathing here. So again, you can come up onto the heel, pointing the toes towards you, or you can straighten that leg wherever it feels good for you, or even move back and forth between the two. Keep breathing deeply here. Now shift the weight forward a tiny bit and walk that foot towards the right side of the mat. Lower the knee down to the left as you come down, and we're coming into our pigeon pose here. So we'll come down to our forearms, we're all the way down to the mat. Make sure that back heel is pointing in the air. We'll continue to breathe here. If you can't come all the way down, that's okay. If your hips are really tight and they're up here, that's completely fine. We're just finding a place where it feels like a good stretch today. Keep breathing deeply. Taking a deep inhale, and on the exhale, send your breath to that place of tension or tightness in the hip. And now we're slowly going to lift the upper body up, sliding that right knee forward, uncross that left leg. And we're going to meet sitting down. So we're going to curl our knees around in one direction, coming into a seated position. From here, if you have diastasis, you're going to roll over onto one side and slowly lowering down into a laying down position. Otherwise, if you do not, we're going to lift those legs and we're slowly going to use our core to lower down. You can return those feet back down towards the ground. So wherever we're at, we'll bring the feet to the edges of the mat, knees stay together, and then we're going to do like a windshield wiper. So the knees will come apart here, but we're rocking left and right. Massaging the sacrum, the glutes, the low back. Keep breathing here. Bring the knees towards the chest. Bring the soles of the feet towards the ceiling. Knees come to the outside of the body. Grab the inside or the outside of the feet here for a happy baby pose. Bringing those knees down towards the ground. And breathe here. You can even rock side to side. You can rock back and forth. And now bring the left foot to the ground. We're going to extend that right foot up overhead. So if you need to bend the knee, if your hamstrings are really tight, feel free to do so. You can grab the back of the thigh, you can grab the calf, or you can grab the foot all the way. whatever feels most comfortable for you today. We're just gonna breathe here into this little stretch. Maybe even playing around with bending the foot, pointing the toes. Sometimes that can stretch out the front of your foot, it can stretch out the calves when you're bending your foot towards your face. Just finding some movement here. So the whole purpose of yoga is to find movement that feels good in your body. So when you're doing poses, it may not look like how I do them or how someone else does them. And when I do them, it doesn't look like someone else does them. It's all about finding what feels good for your body. Slowly lower that leg down, switch sides. So left leg comes up, we can grab the back of the thigh, the calf, the foot, and we can even bend that knee as much as we need to, especially if we're really tight today. If you have a strap, you're welcome to loop that around your foot. So play around with flexing those toes and pointing them. And again, the whole purpose of this is just to find some movement, to find some stretching, to really care for our bodies. The body loves distraction. We may not like to stretch, but our bodies love it. Keep breathing here. Slowly lower that foot down towards the ground. So if you have a diastasis, you'll want to skip these little twists. If you have a diastasis, you can come into the happy baby pose or another pose of your choice. Otherwise, what we'll do is the rest of us will bring the feet down towards the ground and then send those knees towards the left and just leave them. Actually, no, I take that back. Bring the knees towards the chest and then send both knees towards the left side of the room. That's going to be a lot more intense than what I was going to do before. So the arms can be out like a T or like a cactus shape. So cactus shape would be elbows bent, hands reaching up. We're going to try to keep that right shoulder pressed down into the ground, and we'll notice that that intensifies the stretch. Slowly bring the knees back towards the body, and then send those knees the opposite direction towards the right, pressing that left shoulder down into the mat. Notice how that brings the stretch up into the back, whatever you keep that shoulder glued down towards your mat. Breathe here. Slowly bring those knees back to center. Give yourself a nice little hug here. And so all of us, if there's any pose you need to move through before our final Shavasana, feel free to do so. Otherwise, we're going to send those legs out long. So feet are going to come down to the edges of the mat. Hands are going to come down by the sides, palms facing up. Feel free to adjust your position until it feels right for you. If you want, you can rest a hand across your belly and your chest, or you can keep your hands down by your sides. Wherever we're at, we're just going to deepen our breathing. Taking a deep inhale. And on the exhale, start to relax the muscles of your face. Feel your forehead smoothing out. Another deep inhale. And slowly exhale, feeling your shoulders relax down into the mat. Taking a few more of these deep breaths, and notice if there are any places in your body where you still hold tension or tightness. If there are, then gently direct the breathing towards that place of tension, and just release and let go of that tightness and let your body relax. And give yourself these next few moments to just enjoy what it feels like to care for yourself, to let your body integrate this practice that you've just done. Now we're slowly going to bring the knees towards the body. We're going to roll over onto the left side, resting the head down on that lower arm. We'll pause here for a moment, breathing deeply. And now whenever you're ready, use that right hand to press yourself up into a seated position, crossing the legs, closing the eyes down once again. We'll take in 3 deep breaths together. Deep inhale and exhale. Another deep inhale and exhale. Finally, last deep inhale and exhale.
towards the chest, flicker the eyes open. If you feel comfortable, we put our hands together at heart center. And together we say,